Good afternoon all. So we thought we'd do another video for you today. Today's a little bit simpler than the last one we did. That seemed to throw lots of people, but lots of you had a go at it, so well done. I think you've all really enjoyed doing it. So let's have a look at what we're going to be using today. So today we have got the brand new Frame Me stamp set, which is one of our £12.99 sets. I apologise, I've got really bad hay fever today, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll apologise before we even start the sneezing. I'll try and keep it under control. So we've got the Frame Me stamp, which is one really big stamp, and then two sentiments that say, life was meant for good friends and great adventures, and happy birthday, hope your day is as special as you. And they fit perfectly in here. We are then also going to be using the crystal clear embossing powder and the Onyx black Versafine ink. The clean colour pens, we've got 4 today. So we are using yellow green, mid green, yellow and geranium red. We're also, I'm going to pop those on that side because that's the side I work from. Obviously we've got the Wink of Stella clear brush. Just to let you know, I do remind people, and if I just whip this off this screen, get rid of that one. So I do remind people, when these come to you, they come with a little black band in here. You need to take the lid off. I think you unscrew this because the black band is in there. Take the black band off, screw it back together, and it pierces the channel inside here, which then lets the ink flow. We had lots of people ringing and saying, I've got my pen but it's not working, what's wrong with it? So that's what you need to do with this, with the Wink of Stella brush. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, no, try not to. And then obviously our usual sticky glue, so it comes in the 120ml or the 30ml size. And then lots of you have been intrigued by my Make Art station. I've actually got one in a box here and one underneath, so they're sticking to each other. So it's a 12x12 board. It's fabulous for keeping stencils down. You can do absolutely everything on here, except I wouldn't recommend you cut on it. So here, look, you've got your ruler. You can put your heat mat on, which is what I use it a lot for these days. Originally, I was just using it to hold my stencils down, but I thought there's got to be more to it than this. So yeah, so you can get your measurements and so you can position things. You can get some other bits and pieces that go with it, which we'll slowly be adding to our website as well. So stamp positioners and rulers and things that go on here. So this is ideal for this. So I'm just going to pop this to one side. Also, we've got back in stock again. As fast as they come in, they go again. Our square foam pads, they're 25ml by 25ml by 2ml thick. You get 1600 in a roll. So again, they're back in stock at the moment. So we will get started. It's really basic today, I've told you. We've calmed it down a bit from the last workshop, from the last demo. It was that was one of our more difficult cards, shall we say. So we have got an 8x8 card base, and then we've got a piece of black cardstock which is cut to 7.5 inches, and a piece of white watercolour cardstock, and that's cut to 7 inches. And that's all you need today. Really easy. I have also done this in a few stages as well, so you're not going to have to watch me emboss the whole thing and things like that, because it is a big stamp. So you do need quite a big block, or if you've got a stamping platform, that might be quite ideal for this one, because one of the bigger stamping platforms, it is a big stamp. Now, you have got a piece of polymer in the middle here, and as you can see, mine's got lots of marks on it. Do be a bit careful about getting too much ink on here, because that, if you press too hard, that will show up on your card, on your stamped image. So try and avoid getting too much ink on the piece in the centre. So take your Onyx black Versafine, and we're doing lots and lots of little light taps. And when I say try and avoid getting too much ink, when I go around the edges, I'm kind of going with it rather than across it, to try and avoid getting too much ink. I'm just going to move those a little bit further over. Let's try and avoid getting too much ink in that middle section, because there's nothing more annoying than doing all that hard work and then having that splodge in the middle that you didn't want. just go a little wet because I have got some on the edge, and you know my fingers are going to go straight into that. There we go. So we're just going to stamp this out straight onto our white watercolour cardstock. Hopefully that's kind of in the middle. It is now. Doesn't look very straight actually, but it might just be that it's not on the block very straight. So just, it's a big stamp, so be prepared to give it some pressure. And obviously watercolour cardstock isn't completely smooth either, so be wary of all of that. So make sure you spend a little bit of time making sure that image is stamped out. I have got my mat on top of my magnetic board, so I've got my mat that I do on my messy work on top of my make art station, and the magnets hold it in place, which is ideal because this is always slipping and sliding on me, so it just gives it a little bit more extra weight to do that with. And then we're going to rip that off there and get some embossing powder on there quick as possible. Oh, sorry, I hate that noise. Why does it always do that to me? Now, I've got all my embossing powder on there. I've got a little bit extra there that I don't want. So I'm just going to try and have a dry brush it. There we have. I should have used my anti-static bag, but I forgot. I'm good at forgetting that. I had one big fingerprint right in the middle there that it successfully landed on. So we've managed to get rid of that. Now before I heat emboss this, I'm actually going to put my sentiment on as well, and then all the heat embossing can get done at the same time. Just save us a little bit of time. It's not going to be a 45-minute event, this one. Like the last one, in fact I think it was nearly an hour, our last video, wasn't it? But some of our customers have sent in some lovely pictures of what they've made using that last demo, which is really nice. I love to see what people are making with our stuff, so thank you for that. If you're wondering which demo I'm talking about, it was the Let It Snow Christmas card. It's quite a mammoth event, but it's a really lovely card when it's done. So we just pop the sentiment on there and trying to avoid where the embossing powder already is. We'll just pop a little bit more on there. And again, remember, light tap, don't flick it off. And it happened to go right in that same spot again. And then I stuck my finger right in there. That was really clever, wasn't it? There we go. So that's the embossing powder section done. It's the hardest bit of the day. You don't want anything too difficult on a Sunday, do you? So we're now going to heat this up. Everything's falling. So we'll heat this up. Again, remember I say to you, heat from underneath if you can possibly manage to with this particular embossing. I've just seen where I've missed a leaf. Good job I've got one stamped out earlier. So we heat from underneath, which allows the heat to melt the powder without blowing it off, because as I've said before, these two don't particularly like each other. So we just ramp that speed up. It takes a little while to heat emboss this one because it is quite a big stamp, so just be really aware of that. And remember, if you're heating from underneath, you can, it gets very hot under there, so just be careful, keep it moving and mind your fingers. These heat tools do get really, really hot. So there we go, all completely stamped, embossed, and give it a bit of a wiggle to try and flatten out that paper while the paper's still warm. Now when I stamped mine out, if you can see, I've missed a leaf here. So I'm just going to do a fabulous, here's one I did earlier. That's why I always have one ready, which has that flower or leaf or whatever you want to use. I colour the single petals in as leaves, that's kind of, and just the bigger flowers. So we're now going to colour these in. And as I said to you before, I've got my mat. Just let me pop this out to one side. So I've got my Make Art station underneath here, and I've just got my magnet held down on here. And I don't know if you can just see, if you were doing something that you needed to line stamps up or anything like that, you can see your lines through your mat on this particular mat as well, which works brilliantly when I'm trying to measure things out and get things in the middle. Sometimes I drive myself insane with these things. So we're going to go in now and colour these. Now we've heat embossed, so we've got a raised area to help keep this in the space. So again, I've said before, I'm going to start in the middle and I'm just going to load up a little bit of red in the middle. Just grab a piece of kitchen paper. And I'm going to take the yellow and drag it out from the middle. Drag the red out from the middle. Then I'm going to blot the excess off because the red starts to go into the brush and I do want it to finish on a yellow on the edge. So red round the bottom, drag it out. Excuse me. And out to the yellow. Red at the bottom. Might have gone a bit too red there, a bit too much red. I'm doing 2 petals at a time because I'm cheating. They're not very big petals, but you don't want that ink to dry too much. You want to be able to work it. So I tend to try and work on 1 petal at a time. A bit of red. Oh, I'm pushing the boat out. Look, we've got 3 on the go now. It's really difficult to colour in without putting my head in the camera. I didn't realise I leant over so far to colour, but clearly I do, because I can't really see what I'm doing. Fingers crossed we'll stay within the lines. Going the whole hog now. I might regret that move. I can feel a regret coming on already. You might just have to work that last blend in a little bit more at the bottom there, because I've got an orange line going across there that I don't want. I have gone over the line, so I always keep a plain white water brush at the side of me, and I'm just going to try and pick up as much of that as I can. Got carried away, look. You won't get it all up, but you'll get a fair amount of that up. And that's the other thing. Also remember to go in and blot what you're doing with your paper towel. Look how much ink comes off. Because where the embossing is, it's going to resist it, and you don't want to smudge that. You'll have spent all this time doing a lovely colouring in, and then to stick your finger in it while it's still wet where the embossing is, you curse. Or I curse, that's for sure. So just make sure you remember to do that before you start putting your hand over it. So we've got a couple more flowers just to do here. As I said, this one's quite a relaxing little card compared to what we have been doing of late. I thought I would bring it back to just being our stamps for the day. And then we'll get started on next week's project. So you're all loving the new releases. In fact, we went to limited stock, or in fact we went to pre-order on our, particularly on this one, the Frame Me stamp set, and then we had pre-order the pre-order. So if everything has flown out again, you've loved them all, so thank you all very much. We have now got the extra lines and dot dot back in stock again for the I think 4th time we've had to reorder in a month, which is, we order it in quite a big bulk, so thank you all very much. You seem to have really liked this idea of the type of stamps I brought out on the last couple of releases. I am in the process of working on the next release as we speak. Well, not literally, because obviously I'm colouring this in, but that's this afternoon's task, is to get those finished and get those off to the design team for our next TV show at the end of the month. I think we have 2 more little flowers to go. So you really are seeing this whole card being made from start to finish. You might regret agreeing to watch this now, but hopefully it will inspire you to get those colouring pens and pencils out again, because it really is really lovely and relaxing. This is a good one to do sitting out in the nice weather, because you haven't got lots of bits of paper that can fly around, which is always a bit of a nightmare when you're trying to... Oh, I've missed one flower. Oh, sorry. Just up here. You can see, you thought you'd got away with it, but he didn't. It's really funny, isn't it? Because when we send these out to the design team, I never tell them what I'm expecting of them. They all just come up with what ideas they think work well for what the projects they've got. And nearly everybody coloured this one in these colours. And then I started doing, I just had my demo preps on the way ready for TV before these everybody's samples came in, and I'd done the same thing. So it was obviously meant to be. This seems to be the colour of everybody's choice. That's a bit too vivid a green. I'm going to go in a bit more with the mid green. So this is the mid green and the yellow green of our pens. I'm going to take the mid green out to more area and just take a smaller amount of the mid green just up to the edges, just to lighten it a little bit. Sorry, the yellow green. So the mid green is the more sort of olivey colour green, which works really nice with these 2 colours. But I did feel that it needed a little bit of a pop with the yellow green, so that's what we did. See how quickly this is all coming together? Really is a really nice card to make. All the hard work's done for you, all the arranging of the flowers is there. You're just adding your touch with the colours. I think it would make quite a nice little paper piecing project too. They'd be quite small pieces, but I think they would look quite cool. Almost done. It's quite tempting to go back in, to go over each one in each colour, but don't be tempted to do that, because you won't be able to blend the colours because they'll dry too quickly. So there's our coloured in sections. So the colours we've used are mid green, yellow green, geranium red and yellow for this particular one. And then I'm just going to pop a couple of gems in the centres of the flowers. Now the gems I've got here all come in a long pack, hence I'm just snipping them to... I had some tweezers here once, but I've put them somewhere safe. There we go. Didn't snip that one far enough through. Oh. Got to get my nails cut, they're too long now, can't see what I'm doing. Just position these little, they're just little clear gems, just pop them in the centres Again, just to make it pop a little bit. So we've got no extra layers or anything with this card, so it should be quite easy to post. So it's quite a good one if you've got to send a card off to somebody. I know we are getting out and about a little bit more now, but some people are still not managing to get to see everybody, so this is a nice little one to pop in the post. Need to just cut 3 more. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't want to come off. It doesn't want to be separated now. It really doesn't want to be separated. Oh, good grief. Try again. And I flicked that one somewhere. There we go. Who would have thought it'd be that difficult to stick a couple of gems down, but it's proving to be the most difficult part of this card. That's the one that flicked off. Hadn't cut that one. Last one. Oh, I lied, I need one for the... I always put one above my eye in Friends when I'm doing something like this one. I don't know why, I just quite like it. So you could put it above the eye on Life as well if you wanted to, I suppose, but I think that might be a bit overkill. If you wanted to, you could pop some randomly over here as well. My gems don't want to play the game today, can you tell? I don't think they liked being in the car on the way to the telly because it was very hot. So they're paying me back now. So you could just pop a couple. Let's go up here. Take it away from the flowers. Pop some in the centres here as well. Just to add a little bit of interest. I wouldn't do it in every one. I think it might be a bit much in every one. I'm trying to be random, but that didn't work out at all, did it? As you all know, not very good at random. So we've popped some gems in the centres of the flowers and just some random ones around the edge every so often. See those? Lovely. So that's the hardest part of the whole event done. We're now just going to layer these 2 up. And I'm going to pop this on with some foam pads. Some glue left on there from my paper pad. I bought some new paper watercolour cardstock this week. My goodness, they'd glued all 4, there was 20 sheets in the pack and all 4 sides had been glued together. Now that was an event getting them apart. Yeah, 45 minutes it took me to pull those sheets of paper apart. So unfortunately I won't be buying those ones again. Nice watercolour card, no time to do that. So just the large foam squares on the back. I'm going to whip this off here. And I'm going to grab the glue and just pop a little bit on the back of each of the foam squares. just to give me that little bit of wiggle room. They are super, super sticky, these foam pads. So once they're down, there's no taking them off unless you've done this ahead of schedule. So that's why I tend to do this. I probably say that every time, but just so that you know, that's why we do it. So we'll flip this over and try and get this straight. I've got to do it through the camera, so that could be entertaining. I think I'm about right. Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Okay, I'm going to whip this out of the camera shot for a second. We could be here for a long time. And remember I said make sure you blot your flowers, and I hadn't, and then I didn't do it. And I've got a couple of fingerprints, so I'm just going to go in and just blot those off quickly. And then try and remove where I've got my fingerprints. See, at least when I don't do what I've told you to do, it gives you a reason to know the outs. So yeah, that came off fairly easy. So the little tips and tricks to make an amends to what mistake you've made, because I couldn't really put a butterfly right on the edge there, which is what I would normally suggest you did. So we're then going to take the sticky glue and we're just going to stick this down. And flip it over. And that's how easy that card was. So from start to finish, apart from cutting out 2 squares, that has taken us about 20-ish minutes to make. So there we go. Life was meant for good friends and great adventures. So we'll just quickly whiz back through the bits and pieces we've used. So we've used the Frame Me stamp set. We've used clean colour pens in yellow, geranium red, yellow green and mid green. Oh, I forgot to put my Wink of Stella on. I'm going to reverse Wink of Stella over the petals. Now again, I'll tell you to do that really, really quickly, because the Wink of Stella will also blend the colours together. So it gives you a sparkle, but be careful because it will also blend your colours again. So you don't want to go from one colour to another. This works fine for this section because they're all the same colour. But if you were doing lots of different coloured flowers, or lots of different colour whatever, you would need to make sure you were cleaning your brush, because I don't know if you can see on this, but it has picked up the yellow, the nib. Can't really see it a little bit, but yeah, so you have to be quite quick and careful when you do that. So now we have some sparkly flowers. Can we see? Is the camera going to pick up? If it will. Anyway, there's a very slight sparkle to those from the Wink of Stella. So back to what we were saying. We have got the Frame Me stamp set. We've got the clean colour pens in yellow, geranium red, yellow green and mid green. The Wink of Stella brush. Embossing powder in crystal clear, and we used it with the Onyx black Versafine ink. And also we've got our Make Art station underneath here, which are available on our website. They are fabulous. My next demo is going to be using some of our brand new stencils. So you'll see it used in that. So we'll just pop back over to bring the card back in so you can see what we did. And a couple of other little ideas on some of the samples the design team have done here. So this one was done by Marianne, I believe, and she's used our new mesh stamp on there. And she's just used the outer circle to create the background and then pop that whole image in the middle. This one, I think this one might be Dorothy or Teresa, I'm not 100% sure. Just been spritzed with oxide sprays by the looks of things and stamped and embossed in white embossing powder. This one is just using, we've got some of our Splish Splash stamp in the background there, And then this is just using the corners with the, or just in the corners using the flowers, and then obviously the sentiment. Another one, very similar colours to what we've just used, but it's actually been stamped and embossed in gold rather than in the black. And then this is again the same similar colours to what we've just used, but the frame has actually been turned around the opposite direction to, I'll come back in on the one we've just done in a second. So it just gives it a slightly different look to it. So we'll come back into what we've just made. See what I mean? So this one, the flowers are on this side, and this one, the flowers are on the opposite side. So I think that's everything you needed. Oh, sorry, you got my hand right in there. That wasn't very nice, was it? There we go. So I think that's everything for today. If anybody's got any questions or anything you'd particularly like to see us demonstrate, please give us a shout either via email, which is honeydewcrafts@gmail.com, or you can send us a message via Facebook. And also just quick little reminder that if you're not on Facebook but would like to see what's going on, if you're watching this and you're not on Facebook, you would have already worked this out. There's a button on our website that shows that you can click on it and watch Facebook without being a member of Facebook. So if you're watching this through Facebook, you don't need to know that. But if you're watching it via YouTube, if you click on our website, www.honeydewcrafts.co.uk, you can go onto our website. At the top of the website, there's a button that says Facebook. You don't have to subscribe to Facebook to be able to watch what we're doing. So that's everything, I think. Have a lovely day, great week, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.